All right. Welcome everyone to the Kured meeting. Today is Wednesday, the 25th of November. Let me share my agenda document. This one, yes. Can you see this? Is this being shared? Super. Okay. All right. So actions from last time. Let me see. So I had an action to find somebody to review 178. Let me check. Hang on. Ah, yes. Where did this? Oh God, what a long discussion. Yes, okay, so this needs to be rebased. And I also feel it needs a bit more input from somebody who can. Yeah, it looks like quite a few integral changes. And quite a bit of hard coding.
Tested very well, I think. Before we can merge this should be tested very well.
Yes, agreed. Yeah. Okay. I'll note this down again. It still needs doing. Review from action of last time is still needs to be reviewed. Also needs rebasing. The notify a meter issue to track this work and collect input on the approaches listed above. Okay, so this also hasn't happened, but yes. For some reason, I forgot all my action items. Okay. Okay. What else? Let me see if. Sorry. Why can't I stop sharing? Oh. I don't believe this. This is somewhat annoying. I can't stop sharing this. Pause share, is that? No. I would like to see the participants list. And I can't. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
Oh, God, why is Zoom So annoying. There's just no words for it. I just... Jean-Philippe, are you here?
He isn't in the participants list yet.
Yeah, I would like to... That's what I'm trying to get to this participants list, but I can't. I'm not sure what happens if I leave the meeting. No, end meeting. All right. Yeah, sorry everyone. Okay, I hope I'm back again. This was weird. Okay. So we went through... Can you hear me? Are you still both here?
Yes, I can hear you.
Good, good. Okay, sorry. Yeah, I couldn't, for some reason I couldn't admit Jean-Philippe, and Jean-Philippe says in Slack, are you all in the meeting? Okay, so this is going to be very annoying. If somebody is going to watch the video later on, obviously we're having some difficulties. Okay, so we went through all the open agenda items from last time. Okay. So in the past days, we released QD 1.5.1. It fixed a bunch of old issues and also basically regressions. Unfortunately, yeah, luckily they weren't as bad because, for example, God, I forgot the annotation TTL feature. It was new since the last release and it didn't quite work. So now we took the liberty to rename the option and also the Helm chart values. So basically nobody was able to use it up until now, but it would have been great if we would have caught this earlier. So maybe for new features, we should ask for some kinds of tests or test instructions the next time. We also had a small issue in some part of the Helm chart, and we also had when we removed the kubectl binary, also that needed to be fixed up in a couple of places. But in general, it looks like nobody's complained since we got the release out, so that's good to hear, and we can get 1.6 out. Yeah, in about 2 weeks when Kubernetes 1.20 is going to be released. Yes, so Jean-Philippe is trying to fix his audio right now. It looks like it's the day of computer issues. Yes. So yes, leading right into the 1.6 release, we have quite a few PRs pending. So some of them are going to update a bunch of dependencies. So we have some updates for Prometheus libraries, some for Kubernetes dependencies, and some other bits as well. And the general suggestion was, which I think makes sense, was that we enable the testing bits beforehand. Unfortunately, yeah, the PRs have been sitting there for about 2 months now. I would have preferred if somebody else could have reviewed them, because sometimes I wasn't quite sure what I was looking at. So I hope that Jean-Philippe can join us, so he can basically walk us through the PRs, explain a few things about the code, and maybe we can merge them today as part of the meeting. And that should help us have more confidence in the things we're going to release. Jean-Philippe, are you there?
Do you hear me by any chance?
I have a hard time hearing you, but Christian, can you hear him?
Okay.
Not really. Very, very silent.
Yes.
Okay, let me fix this.
I'm glad I'm not the only one with audio issues every now and then.
It's always a good feeling.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe in the meantime, Christian, did you have any feedback or any thoughts about the last release or the one we're going to put out soon?
I have no strong opinion about this release or the next release, but I saw that we merged the pull request, which updates one GitHub pipeline for the chart testing, I think it was. I made this pull request on my personal Helm chart repository a few weeks ago, and I had to update the pipeline manually, so there were changes. I think I can open a pull request for this.
Okay, let me note this down. I think it was me who merged this because Jean-Philippe had reviewed it. Let me check.
Oh yes, it was the chart testing action. There was a major release.
Yes, yes. It was 230. Okay, so this needs a follow-up. Okay. Yeah, thanks for letting us know. 'Cause, yeah. Yeah, if you want, I can file an issue later on. Oh, oops. Super. All right. Jean-Philippe, how are things looking over there? I had some static earlier.
Hello.
Yes.
Third time is the charm.
Yeah, you still sound a bit funny, but we can sort of hear you.
Okay. I'm sorry then. I missed half of the meeting, so I remember something that I vaguely heard during the attempt to end the audio that maybe you had questions and how to go through those PRs. I can do that after I'm stopped doing interrupting this kind of things. I'm not sure what you are right now.
So yeah, basically we were just recapping what's been happening in the project in the last month. We also had a look at the actions from last time. I unfortunately missed to act on a few. And we sort of agreed that the next step would be to look at the testing PRs, get them in. So in the next step, we can look at merging the, or at least look at the dependency updates. Yeah. So just looking at, I put the link into the, I guess I can share my screen again. Yes. Can you see this?
Yeah, I checked that list. Yes, I can see that.
So, okay. So I think 183 should be the first one we should merge, right?
Correct.
Correct. Okay.
Do you want me to go through the concept?
Yes, I
So that it's
think that
recorded.
would be helpful.
Okay, so the idea here was, I'm not sure if you hear me well, so I'll just continue. And if you don't hear me well, just please don't hesitate to interrupt me. And sorry again for the audio issue. So the idea in this pull request is the first in a series to increase the functional test coverage. And I call this here the smoke test. The idea is that on push, something we can change later, we would deploy, as you can see, smoke, let's say cluster on GitHub Actions. so everyone can check the code, read it what it is. And the first step for that is basically making sure that Docker is properly working, which is the reason why we're doing this is because we are inside kind. We will be using Docker, and we'll need to make sure that everything is working fine. And one of it is just fixing a systemd group problem that is happening on GitHub Actions. The next steps is on the line 35.
Hang on, just a second. So what is happening here? We restart Docker and then.
Yeah, I'm making sure that that we list any failures by showing what's in the pager. That's basically how I figure out the problem was in the systemd group. It's because I saw that on the logs, and just restart Docker with an empty daemon.json would be good enough. The reason is there is a Docker daemon.json by default. As you can see, that is copied in daemon.json.alt, and that is a problem. It's a known issue. It's because it's for, I think, efficiency on the GitHub Action side, and that efficiency, we don't need it. So we just empty the thing and restart Docker. Then we use a kind cluster. I'm using an action that is an official action for that. The nice thing is that when we do this with a configuration file that is on, for the moment, on line 38, I'm using the GitHub kind cluster, and in a follow-up patch, I will be using different kind of clusters, different kinds of kind clusters. The basic one that is in this PR is a 5-node cluster. Why 5 nodes? Is because this way we have 3 masters, so it's easy to not lose the API server, which will be useful for something I will explain later. And the 2 workers is easier than to see just one single worker. For the next steps is indeed installing Helm. I didn't install Helm with the standard Helm chart because with the standard GitHub Actions for that. I had tons of trouble to make it work, where just with curl and install it was just working out of the box. So I didn't really overthink this. I just did it. So yeah, I can probably update. It doesn't need a Z because the modern versions of tar have that included by default.
Okay.
Okay. I see, that's true. I had the same reflex. And right. Some of my younger colleagues said, you don't need to do that anymore. It's like, oh, okay, cool. Okay. I took 15 years in one single day.
Works for
anyway,
me.
So after that, after that series of Helm installation, we are making sure that QOD is installed on line 47. So it's just making sure that the daemon set is well present. The line 49 to 56 is just to wait so that every QOD container is ready. So before starting to do tests, we are making sure that the cluster is correct. And then we are doing the proper test, by creating first the files, the root sentinels, like we call it, and then following what's happening in the actions and logging that all. So the first step in those 2 functional tests is indeed creating the root sentinels, as you can see that here, which is Docker executing, because that's how kind is behaving with kind. You just have a Docker container that is a kind node. And so here we just show it and create the Sentinel file. And the photo coordinated reboot is what was the remnant of a previous pull request that we already had review. It's a little bit, it looks a bit complicated, but it's not really. It just two arrays that are storing who nodes has been unscheduled and who know which nodes, sorry, have been unscheduled columns to use the proper term, and which nodes have recovered. So which happen basically when kind is doing its work. So as long as the amount of nodes that were at some point unschedulable and recovered is not equal to 5, which is the size of the cluster, we continue and we iterate and we log all of that. At the end of the process, line 50, if we have debug true, we are outputting logs. This is useful for failures, and I used it already in the GitHub Actions. So in my GitHub Actions, when I run this, I can set by default debug true. But when I'm running locally, I'm still using that shell script. So when I'm running in development, I just create my kind cluster with the config file that is present in this pull request, and I'm just creating the Sentinels the same way as it is, and I'm following the reboot, but I just don't need the debug, so I don't expose it. I don't use I don't, for example, set the export debug equal true in my local environment. Anyway, the TLDR is that it's generally working fine. I've been using this script for a certain time now. It's maybe not the prettiest shell script you've ever seen. It just works. And so for me, when we have this, we have the coverage of the latest kind supported version, because we're using kind and we're using the config file that is mentioning them. So the next pull request is basically increasing the coverage of the.
Yeah, just a second. So I think in general this looks good to me. I can't claim that I got everything, especially in the last script. I think I would need to dive into it a bit more, but generally I think it looks good. Some small questions. Yes, we could look into updating Helm. That seems to be recommended, but in general, this looks good to me. Christian, did you have any questions about 183 before we move on to the next one?
No, same to me. It looks good, I think.
Okay. Okay, super. Okay, so the next one would be 184 or 181?
184.
184, okay. Here we go.
So that one will have to be rebased when the first one is merged, because the first commit is still present in that pull request too. I didn't want to have this massive pull request that is doing everything and multiple things. We can just do and iterate slowly. So that is, as you can see, the context is about the same. As you will see, it's about the same, but the kind cluster configurations are different. Now they are more explicit because we are setting a certain image inside the kind cluster, and we are naming them kind cluster certain version. That is useful because the force file that you can see, the smoke tests, workflow will use a matrix element. As you can see in line 22 in that file, yes. It is now using different Kubernetes versions. Sorry for that. And therefore we can test QD or Kured. Sorry for my pronunciation.
Yeah,
that is
no,
still undecided.
I never know how to pronounce it.
And with different Kubernetes versions. And so what is good is that we simply drop down a file, we change we add line 25, 26, doesn't matter. We add a new version there, and then we are good. And that's basically we'll be able to test Helm chart on the next, I would say, the different versions of Kubernetes. Yeah, so that's probably a remnant of the first commit that is on top. So if you're checking the single commit listed on top of the review, I think on GitHub, if you go on the first line of the review, I think you have the ability to select all the commits or just the last commit. So this way you'll see only the thing that has
Yeah,
changed.
of course. Yeah, okay. Got it. Okay, cool.
Yes, it changes from all commits, it changes from the.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
So with this in mind, sorry again. With this in mind, I think that we'll have coverage for the Helm charts with different versions of Kubernetes. So it means that we are testing, we are lacking testing for the manifest that is produced, right? Or the manifest that has changed. Because those are two different things. We don't consume one or another, but when we release the two ways. So we need to still check that the release will not break with the manifest, and that's where this comes in. So customized test is basically I would say, smaller scale test that is using the if there is a change on QD YAML, deploy the cluster and on a single node, run it and see how it works. If it doesn't, if it returns an error, it means that we have a serious problem, and that's the idea. All those pull requests are intended to test the current Helm charts and manifest, the current released. They are not perfect yet, in my opinion, because for me, what I would love to see is an end-to-end, I would say, test that is also testing when we build the queued image, push it in a place, use kind, generate the manifest, and test with all of this in. So this is not yet there, but it's already providing coverage. And so I think that when all these go in, I will tackle the new things to indeed increase the coverage. And for that, there was a pull request that is not in test, but that is what I think I call release helper, which I think we should tackle after those. I think it's already 3 PR that we have to deal with, and we don't. I mean, I'm not sure we have the bandwidth necessary to tackle all of that and then tackle the PRs that are maybe more important in terms of expectations of our, I'd say, community. I've seen so many people asking for this multiple notification system. I think it would be good that we tackle this. Which is a little bit of a segue of what I wanted to talk about if we have time. But I suppose I should first listen to questions if you have any on those 3 pull requests. Maybe you, Christian.
So if I understood you correctly, we would merge 183 and 184 first, and then 181 needed a little bit more work. Is that correct?
I think we can all merge them all within that order. You're right. I just think that when this will be covered, we'll have everything to cover a release, basically. A release will be properly tested, and we'll make sure that everything is working fine there. But for me, it's not perfect in the way that I have the impression right now that I mean that's maybe my external impression that our release process is a little bit clunky. I don't know what you call it, but I have the impression that we're building the code, then we're testing manually everyone. We are then tagging the code, and we are only then creating a release that doesn't necessarily have the content of what's inside the repository. So what I mean by that is that the GitHub
come again. What doesn't it have?
It doesn't have the same content as the repository. So when you're checking the master branch, the manifest is not the manifest that is advised on the release. And the manifest that we advise on the release is the one that is in GitHub pages, if I recall properly. So all of this is kind of it's a process, and I'm afraid that we might be forgetting things. So, for example, we might be forgetting Helm, releasing a Helm version, or releasing a manifest. I have the impression it's not fully automated. And so I think that it's possible to fully automate things. And my idea here, and tell me if I'm wrong, but would be to go into a fully automated mod if possible, or just having let's say approval from the release managers, which I guess would be you. So I wanted to go into that direction. I believe that right now what we're missing is coverage already, and so those 3 pull requests will increase the coverage, and I think that's
sure.
the first step.
I don't think anyone disagrees there. I was just trying to understand what you said earlier about that the contents are different. That's something I'm not quite sure I get. I mean, if you apply a manifest to a local cluster, you will have to always specify the image of what you want to apply. So I don't think that's a big surprise. Or is it?
So I think it's for the Helm charts and for the. I mean, sorry if I'm not explaining myself correctly.
No, don't worry.
What I mean here,
I'm trying to understand. That's all.
Okay, let me give you code. It's gonna be easier. So when we are in a certain release, let's say the one that was produced yesterday, the 151, it is based on a tag that is linked to certain code, right? So when you check the code that is matching that tag, you go into the Kured daemon set, and you see that the Kured daemon set itself doesn't have the right version in image on line 32. And that's normal because that's the way we do development. The reason why we do, I mean, we can argue on how we do things, but what we can see is in the release itself, in the GitHub, there is the YAML as an asset that is the manifest file, and that is a different behavior than the Helm chart. So when we release Kured, and so when we create an official release with GitHub, we are generating the manifest and we are publishing that as an artifact of the release. It's not what's inside the code tree on the master branch at that time.
Right.
And so,
Right.
and so this is different than the hand chart. And for me, this different kind of behavior could trigger a drift. So for example, we don't forget to release the manifest, which contains the new updated image, but the hand chart is outdated. And so that is not a problem because we pay attention. And so when we have a certain code, we are publishing the image and then we are modifying the helm chart. But it means that the two are lagging behind each other. And I have the impression that we could just improve the situation maybe later.
Okay, so I see what you're getting at. I was basically just following the process that was there before. I'm not sure how many people use the manifests that are added to every release. I was basically just following what Adam did before. And if there's anything we can do to improve the ease of testing or anything else, sure, let's do it. And I guess we could take a look at what other projects do. Come again?
Sorry, there is an enormous lag between when I see you not talking and the time that the sound is coming. So I'm not sure what's going on here. What I meant is that we can obviously see that later and improve later. I just wanted to tackle the first I'd say series of testing, and I think this the framework of the test is more important than the, let's say, the fine tuning that was talking here about the end-to-end testing. I think that we should just increase coverage and be more confident into that Dependabot will not break anything.
Yes, agreed. Yeah, sounds good. All right. So yeah, I think I left all the comments I had on the 3 PRs, and I think we can merge them very soon. I look forward to seeing the test results for sure.
You can already see those. In fact, you can already see my PRs on my repo, for example. You can already see that how it behaves, and you can already see the first. I would say I can give you a link outside this meeting, so this way you see like tangible thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Cool. Super. Okay. So. Germany. Uh, 181, was it 184, 18 something else? One, 3, 4. Mm-hmm.
Is it possible that someone is waiting to enter the meeting?
Somebody, that could be. The Zoom is really annoying today because I started sharing and I can't stop sharing. I can't see the participants list, so I need to log out and log back in again. Hang on.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back again. Sorry about that.
Fixed it. When you disappeared, I saw a member, like say, in fact, in the waiting room list, so I could accept it.
Yeah, super.
Try to help you there.
Yeah. I don't know what Zoom is up to today, but it's somewhat annoying. Okay. So do you need anything else on the testing PRs? Any more feedback, or are we good to go?
So we are currently good to go for those ones. Let's see them and then continue, iterate, and increase test coverage.
Yes. Yeah, thanks a lot for your work on this, and thanks a lot for hanging in there. I know it must have been a bit frustrating to get little feedback. We just need to get some more folks involved who can review PRs and then start building out the team. I was certainly very, very busy the last 2 months. But yeah, like this should give us more confidence in making releases.
It's an open source project.
Come again?
It's an open source project. It's normal. That's fine.
Yeah.
We're a community. We'll take the time it needs, and patience is a virtue, and it's just that.
Yes. Okay. Cool. Super. Okay. As I mentioned at the beginning of the meeting, Kubernetes 1.20 is going to be released in 2 weeks. So that's in on the 7th of December, as far as I know. So once we have the testing PRs in, I think we should start merging the Kubernetes dependency updates, the Go version, and then we can start testing. Yes, and I noticed there were a couple of other dependency updates. We can look into those as well. Yes, I saw that Jean-Philippe also added a common notification solution as an agenda item. Yes, I started tagging all the open issues and PRs that are related to notifications this morning to give us a bit of a better overview. But I realized,
thank you.
Yes, I saw that you had been reviewing or talking to some of the contributors there. What is your feedback?
So I'd say there is also, once again, there is a certain order that we should probably respect. The first is to make the notification message more flexible. It's a very simple PR that would help a series of people. So that, I guess, I will find the link and give that into the agenda so that we have an action item to review this. I think Christian already did review it, but maybe my memory is I'm becoming old and stuff. And so the next pull request is
and one second
from Alexei. That's
1 second. So the one with the configurable, is that 212? Add additional parameters for the drain reboot Slack message template.
correct.
Okay, I'm just quickly going over it. It looks like it makes a bunch of potentially unrelated changes. It adds a little documentation and some other small bits. Okay.
Yeah, it's directly changing the Helm charts at the same time it's changing the code,
That is
which
fine.
I think is not bad, but
No, that's
it's,
fine.
yeah, we've just discussed it. And it includes the testing using Minikube, which we can argue on the goal, but the change here is mostly a change on the main.go and changing the notifications. The reason why there was a series of back and forth in my reviews, because I realized that it's, well, I think you can see it in the
Yes.
review. I'm not sure what you're sure. But basically, we'll arrive to a point where notify drain and notify reboots basically don't mean anything anymore, because we will just need a notify thing because we're just passing the text anyway. And so this pull request just to the approach, let's not change many things at the same time, but just keep the same interfaces in the package, the same expose interface, so the notify drain with a capital letter and notify reboot. And later we can refactor this to remove the unnecessary interfaces and clean up. So I think this can be reviewed as is. Maybe we can indeed argue on the Minikube bit.
I didn't quite understand
yeah.
what the two were in there, but okay. All right.
I think the idea was that if we had Minikube, it could test directly on the latest without needing it for release. I mean, that's what I extrapolated. That's how I assumed it was done.
Okay. And then we have
so another that is tackling testing kind of bit. And so yes, sorry if I'm interrupting you, but again the audio lag. The person that joined us in the meeting is Alexei, which is one of my colleagues. So I will not speak for him, but he worked on this on the next pull request that we'll discuss. So Alexei, if you could introduce yourself, or just.
Yeah, hi guys. Sorry that I'm that late. It was a little bit of misunderstanding with the starting time. Basically, we didn't know what exactly the webhook Slack webhook URL meant, and just found out that actually it's the triple token URL, which means that it's pretty easy implementable, and this PR shouldn't break the functionality, which is already good. Other than that, my next intention would be to add documentation, maybe to add a subsequent PR speaking about deprecated stuff. And the only thing that
deprecation, what would be deprecated?
Or wait a bit, is it? Did I remove, or I think it's the PR where I removed it entirely, right?
The 2 to 8.
Let me see.
Yeah, that's.
I removed it. I removed it. Okay.
Yeah, so that might be also my miscommunication here. So I wanted. So when I saw this code, the current code, when I saw Alexei implementation that is implementing a generic way, what I thought we could do is, so for the moment, our interface with the customer, with the users of Kured is the CLI arguments, and so we can keep them, and we can expose this new feature with just URL, a full URL. That's the way that Charter expects. And so deprecation, what I mean here is that if someone provides the Charter URL and provides at the same time those, I would say, the previous arguments, the previous way we did arguments, that's going to be a conflict, right? So if we implement this right, we'll make sure that those are, let's say, mutually exclusive. But when you think about it, if we are those two arguments that are mutually exclusive, the first one is just dealing with Slack the way we are doing right now, and the other one would be dealing with Shouter in a way that is generic and works with multiple backends, and that is probably, I'd say, more efficient. I'd say it's more agnostic of the tooling of the notification system. So there is no point of keeping those two at the same time because they will provide the same kind of feature. So my idea here would to not break the existing users would be to keep the current way we provide CLI arguments, but have a warning to say, hey, this is going to change to a shorter style URL. And by the way, we are doing this for you right now. We are passing them, and this is what's happening. But in the future, just pass this kind of argument, and you will be able to use the features.
Okay, then the outline is pretty clear for me. I will then change slightly this PR. I will keep the Slack URL, and I will just in the function, in the Slack function, I'm just going to change it, modify it there to the Shouter format, and with the according message that it's going to be deprecated in a few version bumps, and that's it. And then I think documentation also would be the next step.
Yeah, I think that would be great if there was like a link to how to construct the Shouter URL and what it supports. I think that would be great. Yeah.
So what's super nice is that we'll close a few PRs with this and a few issues, and we'll reduce the amount of code we carry. So that sounds like a win. But also we can increment the amount of features, like having multiple notifications at the same time using different backends by not doing much code. And so that's very good because we'll not increase the amount of code, and we'll have a very flexible notification system.
Good news also is that since I'm QA, I'm testing a little bit the library, the Shouter library, and I'm contributing also with test cases there. So I can tell you that at least Rocket Chat and Slack look really nice. There's not going to be stupid segfolds or stuff like that. It's always going to be something really nice telling you. In case something is wrong. So yeah, I don't see anything that would prevent us really using it.
Super. Yeah, as soon as you have something up, I could also test it in our dev cluster. We have that hooked up with Slack, and I can see if it explodes there. So just let me know.
Nice.
Yeah, super. Thanks a lot for helping out with this, Alexei. And sorry for the wait. Like everyone has been busy, and it would be lovely if we could fix this. And I know that people have been waiting for notification in general to be more flexible. So this is already some good news. Okay. Do we have anything else? Anything we still we were hoping to get discussed? Okay, looks like we're all good. Super. Yeah, thanks a lot then.
Is it me or Christian has been very silent today?
Yes.
Yes, but all okay. It's all good.
Okay. It's good news then.
All right. In that case, have a great evening, everyone, and see you on Slack.
See you on Slack.
Take care. Bye.
It's like, bye.
Bye.